it, in the hood with it. Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all, so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I'm kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel, and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled and I'm appreciative. Thank you guys so much. So I know you guys are looking forward to the Super Norteño, and I'm working on it because that one is going to be a banger. So be patient. Bear with me. It's coming. I've been busy. They've been calling me into work a lot lately. And I have a life outside of YouTube. Dispensa. It's just the way it is. I got a gang of kids to take care of and a gang of baby mamas yelling at me. Just how it be. Anyways, with that being said, man, I wanted to tell you guys a little story. A story that I haven't never touched on, man. And that's the white Paisa. Okay? El Chapin. Hey, this dude right here was only this tall. Really. Chorra size, right? Just very small, but a straight stone cold killer, man. This guy was basically a hitman, a Sicario within the prison walls. Now, how does that happen? It's very simple, man. There's people that like to farm shit out, right? There's people that like to make things happen without making it happen. Now, in the state of California, it ain't going to happen. Okay, that ain't going to happen. In the state of Oregon's a little bit different. Okay, in the state of Oregon, doing prison time, it's a little bit different. It's more of a mixture. You can pretty much kick it with who you want. There are certain groups that you kick it with, and more people gravitate towards their own gente. Blacks with blacks, woods with woods, brother. And of course, you're going to have the Mexicanos with the Mexicanos, the Paisas, Southsiders, and then the Northerners. That's just how it's going to be. Now, in that system, there's not very many Norteños, but there is some. Okay, so everyone kind of gravitates with their own, but you can mix and mingle. It's kind of the Wild Wild West, the type of yard where everybody's just doing their own thing, man. But when it comes crunch time, it comes crunch at munch time, you know? Well, the Paisas where I was at, they were pretty thick, man. They were actually pretty deep, and I took a liking to them. There was this one, Monterrey, right, which was my homeboy. Hey, this guy was great at sewing. He used to sew all the pants, all the baby cuffs, white line your pants, have you all hooked up for visitas, right? But not only that, this guy was the jack of all trades. He can get anything done. He was basically the black guy from Shawshank Redemption. He was the Morgan Freeman of it all, man. Anything you needed, he can get it. Straight up, from frajos, tobacco, to fucking actual sugar, bags of sugarcane sugar for fucking pruno. I mean, this guy could get it all done. But what he also could get done was he had hitters. He had guys on his team, man, that if you needed something done, you can handle it. Now, in California, if you got an issue or a problem with someone, then it's on and cracking. You present that problem, you handle your business. If you call someone out on something, you are going to be the one to handle it. Or best believe you're going to be involved. Now, there are a lot of things that, because if there's like some racial tension or someone that's from a different group, you can't just go up and blast them, man, unless it's something where it's just disrespect and then it's on site, or it just happens and it happens, you know, and you guys can figure that out later. But for the most part, most of the things that happen in the California prison system don't happen in other systems, right? It's just so political and so structured that you're going to see, and I know a lot of people hate on it or they don't understand it, but you need structure. You need some type of someone to answer to. It's just the way it is. If it wasn't, then it'd be fucking chaos. It'd be anarchy, and there'd be motherfuckers on the yard getting laid down every day. Because if you don't have to answer to no one, best believe there's a lot of guys that don't want to, and they will not. They'll just blast on everything. There'd be a lot more fucking dope dealing and a lot more dope using. I mean, you got to have some type of structure. But in Oregon, the prison system, you didn't. It was kind of a softer system, whereas they had everybody mixed and mingled walking that yard, so you never knew what you were going to have. Now, when it came to this Paisa Monterrey, like I said, he can get shit done. So I seen a lot of people that would have problems with guys, and instead of fucking going over there handling their business, they would go to this guy because he had a couple hitters on his team. Now, one hitter he had in particular was El Chapin. El Chapin was a little white Paisa. Okay, this guy was blonde-haired, blue-eyed from the state of I don't know what. He looked like a mix between Canelo and Sting, right? Straight up. This guy, if you seen him walk in the building, you would think he was a young white man. You wouldn't even know whatsoever that he was Mexicano. But this guy didn't speak a lick of English. Shit, he barely spoke a lick of Spanish. His dialect was way off and different. But I'm going to tell you right now, this guy was a stone cold hitter. Every fight I seen him involved in, it didn't last very long. He was like a little pit bull. He was a little bulldog, right? He'd pick you up, slam you on your head, and get to stomping your whole shit in. Now, a lot of people knew about him. He had bounced around from place to place, man. And he had a reputation. And the reputation he had was he had major hands. You didn't want to see him. I don't know if he was a boxer. I think he just grew up in the streets of Mexico. And somehow along the way, man, just got that reputation of someone that you didn't want to fuck with. I remember seeing his knuckles. They looked like sandpaper. He had those big old Dubs hands with sandpaper knuckles, right? And you could tell when someone has, these are the identifying marks. If someone has scars all over their face and they got the cauliflower ear and big old rugged knuckles, you probably don't want to fuck with them. They're probably going to be the last man standing. Them guys don't give up too easily. What the fuck? They don't tap out, right? So this guy was known for that, but I had seen him a couple times run up in cells, dust people off. Well, anyways, quiet as it's kept, there was a white guy that had got into it with some other white guys, and they were trying to pressure him. Now, he wasn't in on a funny case. He didn't have no weird shit on his jacket. He was just a younger guy that had came in, and they felt they could make him into a pressure case. Basically bully him and extort him. And that's what happens in them types of state prisons is if they, you know, the doggy dog world, the predators will eat the weak. Not necessarily bone them and fuck them and stick shit up their ass like Wes Watson, but they will definitely extort them and run a tally up on them. You know, and at first they'll try to play you out of pocket, be cool with you. Hey, what's up, bro? Embrace you. Hey, you're one of the fellas, man. But little by little, your coffee's going like this while theirs is going like that. So that's what type of time them guys were on. They were up, man. They were trying to be up and put you down. So in any case, this young guy, he needed some protection. What he needed to do was lay a demo down. And to be honest with you, I don't think he was strong enough to do that, or he didn't want to take the initiative to do it. Well, I'm going to tell you what happened to him because of that and what happened. So, like I said, Monterrey could get you anything. He could even get you a hitter. Now, El Chapin didn't have much, didn't have no family, you know, was looking at doing some time and then possibly being deported. So it was all bad. So any little thing, he was a hustler. Anything he could do to make money, he did, man. Draw cards, wash clothes, sew clothes. They'd hook up these little fucking bowls. I remember they were hot Cheetos with cheese and limon on them. Fire, right? El Chapin, he's the one that hit me to that shit. He was no joke. And I swear, man, other white guys would get there and they automatically assume they'd be like, hey, what's up, brother? What are you doing dealing with the Mexicans? We don't talk to the essays like that. He'd be like, ¿por qué? Right? They'd be like, what the fuck? Hey, the polar bears thought you were with them. He wasn't not even with us. He was with the Paisas, right? He looked like I said, he looked like a mix between Canelo and Elton John. He was just different, but with crazy ass caveman hands. So now what happened was this youngster went up to Monterrey and he told him, hey man, these guys keep fucking with me. I'm trying to kick it with you guys. I got money. I'm trying to just be cool. You know, I don't mind buying shit and all that, but you know, can you guys let me get in where I fit in? So of course they started letting him kick it. These white guys weren't going to ease up, man. They said, oh, you think you can go around the Paisas, right? And that's going to be cool. Give me your coffee, bitch, right? So they were taking everything he had still. So of course, the Paisas didn't want to get in the mix with these white guys, man. They didn't want that. And of course, they came to us. They went to some of the Southsiders and they were like, hey, you know, these Vatos are tripping. You know, they're trying to make it a racial thing because the whites were saying derogatory statements toward Mexicans, but we didn't hear it. Now, if we would have heard it, there would have been an issue. We'd have got at them. And hey, and for the most part, the Woods were pretty cool people. There was different gangs. There was European Kindreds. There was the Brood. There was Irish Pride, where JD Delay's from. There was IPS, Insane Peckerwoods. There was just a whole bunch of different little cliques, okay? It was different from California where you had Woods. Yes, albeit from different cliques, but they were all together. These guys were separated. They were white, and I was right, brother, but they were all separated. So the one group that was messing with them was called the IPSs, right? These guys were pretty down, pretty vicious. You know, I had seen them did some stabbings. They did some horrible shit to people. So when they were like, these guys are disrespecting, a couple of the homies got at them. They knew a couple of the righteous IPS, and they were like, nah, we ain't got nothing against any Mexican. That youngster's trying to hide with the Paisas, and we're going to snatch him on the yard, right? So, of course, word travels. So word got back to that youngster, hey, your clock is ticking, homie. You're almost out of time. You better figure it out. So, of course, Monterrey took a liking to this guy. This guy was cashing him out, too. So he was like, look, for about $200, I can get someone to do something for you. So he's like, all right. He says, but look, this dude's going to lay the demo down quite viciously. And when he does, it might fall back on you. And he goes, or it could, or it couldn't. So the youngster's like, whatever, right? So I remember that day, it was morning time. And this particular prison, man, everybody would go to chow. You'd eat. Come back to the building, they'd release yard, right? So usually when shit went, nothing really, I never really ever seen, but maybe a few times something go down in the chow hall. For the most part, shit cracks off either in the building or on the yard. You know, very rarely do you see shit crack off in the chow hall because people would take it as disrespect. They're fucking hungry. You know, they're trying to eat. They're not trying to get maced and get mace all in their food. Hey, let the movement, you know, I've seen a lot of things crack off on the way to chow or after chow, but in the chow hall, not really, not as much. It does, but it doesn't happen much. So I guess this guy, El Chapin, was going to take care of business for this youngster, and he was going to hit the biggest dude on that yard, right? He wasn't going to put metal in him, but he was just going to beat his ass. I guess to him, his hands were like metal, right? So he was like a little Sicario. Many times I had heard, I hadn't seen it because I just got to that prison, but many times I had heard that if you needed something done, you could get at this fool, shoot him some commissary, whatever, and he'll handle business for you, right? Now, of course, any man in prison is going to handle their own business. But there was a lot of guys that were weak. There was a lot of guys that got preyed upon. So there was a lot of guys that needed his assistance. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, when you don't have money, you're willing to do anything. See, it's not like the California system where one little thing is going to set off a big old riot. Or is going to be fucking guys on the yard getting validated and shit like that. It wasn't like that. It was kind of isolated incidences. You handled it. Now, if you targeted one group and they were from a prison gang, then of course that gang was going to get you wherever you went. It was going to be on site. There was going to be a green light on you. But for the most part, man, that didn't happen. It was kind of just a fight. You go do 6 months in the hole. They'll give you a 180 shot. And that was that. You go to fucking your little hearing. They find you guilty. You're going to sit in the hole for 180 days. Sometimes 120 if it's a mutual combat. But for the most part, you get in a fight in the organ system. You're going to sit in there for 180 days. That's facts. So, and then you might get an IMU program, which is the equivalent to the SHU program in California. It's called Intensive Management Unit. It's just like the SHU, same difference, right? So this guy El Chapin had told him, I guess he cashed him out and he told him, don't trip. I'm going to take this guy off the yard. So that was the whole thing. If he beat this guy up, El Chapin was willing to go do some time in the hole if he got caught. And they would take that, at least would take this guy off the yard for 6 months. And then quite possibly, instead of bringing that guy back, they'd ship him out. Okay? Because El Chapin was so small, he wouldn't look like the aggressor. This big old dude would look like the aggressor, right? Not after this fight. So everyone's going to chow. I remember we're going to chow and it was Grand Slam. So it was on a Sunday. So of course they feed you the Grand Slam. That's that fried eggs, the little hash brown triangles, you know, the toast, the bacon. Everybody loves it. It's the number one meal besides SOS. Anywhere you go, SOS is number one. That's number two. So anyways, I remember we're eating breakfast and all of a sudden as we're walking back to the buildings, you could hear it loud. Fools are just chunking them, right? Now me, I already understand. Just keep walking forward. Your natural instinct is to turn back to see what's cracking. You know, even because you want to stay aware. It could be someone getting off on the homies. But also your mind's telling you just keep walking. It's none of your business. And in prison, that's when you have to make a split decision. You got to kind of like look without looking. Because if you're the one that draws the attention to the fight, that's considered dry snitching. And people are going to be like, hey, he fronted us off. Now, of course, there's a lot of idiots that are right there. Get him. You know, and they front the whole shit off. That's how most people get caught for fights in prison. The control tower sees these fucking idiots rubbernecking, right? And then the guys get caught up. Instead of just keep on walking, being about your business. That's the difference with California. On a 4-yard, 180, motherfucker getting stabbed up. Dudes are just still mobbing. Hell nah, they ain't next. No way. Did you see anything? Did you, motherfucker? Nope. Well, shit, I didn't either, right? That's it. I definitely didn't. So anyways, you could hear them. Boom, boom, boom. Flesh on flesh. This motherfucker sounded like fucking Wes Watson trying to hoop a whole fucking FHM magazine. Like that. The struggle was real, right? One dude was screaming, one dude was just thumping. And I already knew what it was. El Chapin was getting it, right? So this fool knocks this dude out, wakes him up and knocks him out 3 or 4 more times. Just devastated this dude, right? Now he gets jumped on, a couple other Paisas jump in, so it's a lightweight little melee. They get into it, they snatch all these guys up, put them in the hole. This youngster that paid them, they go do their investigation and someone snitches, right? And says that he's the one that put them on these white guys. So now it's all point bulletin. So of course a few white guys go out on the yard and they get off on him. Now everybody's in the hole. And I guess El Chapin got told on and he was pretty upset about it, right? So 6 months passes. This guy made it a case in point that every time he ran into someone who he thought was that guy, someone not from his group, but thought that was his homeboy, he would flight him, man. He was a missile too. This motherfucker was just taking flight everywhere. Eventually he ended up going to do an IMU program, and I heard he continued his ways. But he was a Sicario in there, okay? Later on, I heard he caught a case, he caught a body. I don't know if that's true, man. I know that there was only a couple prison killings when I was in that system. One of them was a black dude, right? He was a Crip. They actually had, they would have baseball tournaments. They would have baseball tournaments, and I think he was at a prison called Snake River, if I'm for sure. I think it was, right? Or it was either OSCI or Snake River, which is a prison, which is probably the most dangerous prison. It's located in Eastern Oregon, right? I had never been there, but I heard it was very dangerous. And it was probably like a 4-yard 180 type shit. So this guy was out there and he got into it, man, with some other guy and beat him to death with the baseball bat, right? And I remember we were in the IMU together, man. I remember chopping it up with him. He was a little Crip, man. He had I remember he had gold teeth, and in diamonds he had IVC, Insane Villa Crip or something like that. Or CVC, Columbia Village Crip, something like that. He was with the business, right? Other than that, there was a couple other murders. I remember on the yard, this guy named Rooster, he killed a black dude on the yard in OSP, Oregon State Prison. Right there on the yard, smoked him, right? And he ended up catching death row over that. So he was in death row. And again, when I was in the IMU, man, because I ended up catching a case and I was in the IMU, I would chop it up with them. Anyways, but there wasn't very many killings. So I don't know if people were just saying that, if they were just the legend of El Chapin. But I do know, man, that several times people would pay him to go handle their business. Now you say, what kind of weak shit is that? It's weak if you look at it. But in prison, if you have money, if you have dope, if you have it like that, you don't have to get your hands dirty. You'll get your hands dirty like the rest of us would. Not necessarily. Depends on what state you're in. Now, if you're in California, they'll raise your hand for you. You will get your hands dirty. But in other states, there's different politics. Okay, it wiggles different. There's no rules. You know, and I think those are the type of prisons that are actually worse. A prison without rules is anarchy. Okay, because you know what you have is a whole bunch of cutthroat criminals. Some guys that are willing to fucking make the ultimate sacrifice and kill people, and some that are not, right? And just depending upon how it is that day, how the sun's shining on that motherfucker and how he feels is if a guy's willing to stab the shit out of you, you know? In a system where there's a lot of people that are just running around talking shit and disrespecting each other, best believe, man, there's a lot of chaos. Now, I could tell you, man, as far as that Oregon system went, there wasn't too much of that going on. But it did happen from time to time. There was people getting assaulted, people getting beat up. You know, I know JD DeLay did time in that system, and he tells stories. And I can concur and stamp a lot of those stories because I've heard a lot of them. Okay? When it's not a very big prison system and it's nowhere near comparison the size of California or even Texas, then you guys kind of hear all the same old stories, you know? And you hear the legends of certain people that are with the business. And that's just what it is. But El Chapin, man, that was a cool dude. I remember chopping it up with him a couple times, man. And like I said, if you've seen him, he was the Miklo of Paisas. He was brown, though, to the bone, literally, from the skin to the bone. I don't know what, like I said, I don't know exactly where he was from. Last I heard he was from Jalisco. I don't know, man, that to be true. He never told me that. But he was a little hitter, man. I remember he used to be running up in cells, just taking people's shit, deboning them out of shit. He was only this tall, real skinny, man. You wouldn't think, but he was built like a pit, though. He was like thin in the waist and big on the chest. He was built to be a fighter. Anyways, with that being said, man, shit happens. Never underestimate people's size. You know, I hear a lot of people, they tell me, hey, Wes Watson would beat your ass. Why? Because he has a vein sticking out of his asshole? Let me tell you something right now, straight up off the top. Size don't mean nothing. It's mentality. Brain power is, brains over bronze, always. Brains are always going to win. And if you could easily manipulate this guy into thinking that he's got you just because he's bigger than you, well, he lost already. And that's a known fact, right? So with that being said, man, I just wanted to tell you guys that story about El Chapin. If anyone ever did time with him, let me know. He was a good dude. Good little solid dude. Last I heard, man, like I said, he went to the IMU, then he ended up getting deported. And I don't know, you know, but it's crazy that the raza, they come over here, man. And people would always victimize the raza. People would pick on them and think the paisas ain't with the business. Shit, that's furthest from the truth. Shout out to mi paisitas, man. The paisas are with the activities, man. Especially, man, if they don't like you, they're going to do some fucking crazy shit to you. You know, you guys already know what it is in Mexico. They're chopping heads off and chainsawing shit. So imagine when they come over here, the shit don't stop. The shit does not stop. You know, this guy was the Sicario of the Yarda, let me tell you. And he walked around like this. Like super sureño. That vato was walking around. But he wasn't gang affiliated. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle for what I honestly and truly believe in. And that's the betterment of all people, man. I appreciate you. Bear with me. Super Norteño will be coming up. You will get it. I promise. I'm just working hard on it, man. I'm trying to get some props and make things happen. I want to make it better than it already is, man. So thank you guys very much. Thank you for all the support. Make sure you guys stay tapping in to Gunners Collective TV because it's popping over there too, man. Thank you.